my delight, my pleasure to introduce to you my friend and also my guest, Betty Steinman. So the name of this program is How to Create Abundance. And Betty, in my opinion, is one of the experts in the field. This is her area. It's her area of healing the abundance part of man and removing any obstacles, any areas that we have felt to be stuck. But before I let Betty speak, I'd like to tell you a little bit about her. So Betty has been in the profession of helping people create and attract their ideal lives throughout her professional career. She is a certified master success and abundance coach, working with and training clients from all around the world. She specializes in using emotional freedom techniques, EFT for short, which she will tell us about later on, in combination with the law of attraction to help her clients move forward and manifest their goals. Betty has extensive training in her background. In addition to coaching, she has a master's in clinical social work from Columbia University, is certified as an energy healer from the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, is certified in past life regressions from Dr. Brian Weiss, author of Many Lives, Many Masters, and is certified in EMDR, of course, EFT as well. She uses all these different powerful techniques to help her clients deliberately and consciously create a more abundant lifestyle. So here to talk with us how to create abundance is Betty Steinman. So Betty, welcome to TildeVision Ideas.
Oh, Tilda, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
I call you Maddie.
Of course, Maddie, yes. So you know already her background, her training, you know all that. So I will leave the floor to her, but I'll stay here.
Okay. Hi, welcome everybody. I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I love to do, right? And I love to help people go from feelings of lack to knowing that there's more than enough, a feeling of being satisfied and having more than enough. And I do a lot of different things. I'm also an energy healer. I'm also a psychotherapist. And I'm doing a lot of coaching now. And I work with people all around the world. And I help them clear their blocks, areas where they're stuck, where they're feeling lack, when they're feeling any kind of emotions, really. And I use some different techniques, and most often I use emotional freedom techniques, and that is a tapping technique, which we'll show you a little bit of later. And that helps clear away stagnant energy, things that are holding you back, and then help people move forward in what they want to do. And my secret little mission is really about shifting the consciousness and the energy in the world of feeling lack and feeling greed, right? And this started when I was younger, and I used to spend my summers up in the country, and I love nature. I love the trees, I love the mountains, I love the ocean. I really go to the ocean for meditation and feeling really part of the universe and really feeling connected. And when I see trees being cut down and I see, malls being built, which, I love them all, right? But I see a lot of them like not even being used anymore. And I just feel really badly about the forests that are being destroyed, the rainforest or whatever. So that's really one of the things that got me on this path. And I feel like underneath it, there's, it's greed. Right? And greed hasn't been something that's talked about much until more recently with the subprime mortgage crisis, right? So that, it's being addressed more now, but that's been sort of my thing that really I wanted to help in the world, right? Now, I work with people, most often not with people who come in with greed issues. Sometimes like hoarding is part of that, right? But feelings of lack, right? And I think we all have little spots, where we might feel a little greedy or a little, deprived or feeling of lack or whatever. And it's so wonderful to watch people clear that and be able to become their true self and shine and take the actions that they want to take. So, when people come to my office, I take a look at what they're doing, and then we assess what needs to be done, right? So I'm pointing to
So this is the perfect month because Betty is going to talk about things that are somehow related, connected to this month.
Right. So we're here to talk about creating abundance, right? And what a perfect month for this, with harvest and Thanksgiving and, all kinds of festivities and, theoretically more than enough, and the connections and love. And I know everybody doesn't have that, and that's part of what I'm here to address also. But it's a nice month to do an abundance, presentation here. So what is abundance, right? Well, there's a lot of different definitions, but basically it's not limited to money, although it definitely can include money. But it's really what you feel connected to. What is your, what's in alignment with who you are and really want, and being in the flow with that. It could be anything that enriches your life, like good friends or love or experiences. I mean, one of the most abundant experiences that I've had recently is that
Is meeting me.
and being here, listen, I manifested this.
Yes.
Because I wanted to do in groups, like in-person groups, and
Wonderful.
I thought, how am I going to get the word out to people in Queens, like people all over Queens and the city? But I thought, maybe I should buy one, do one of those coupons and the value packs,
Okay.
And when I thought about that, Maddie called and she said, "Hi, Betty, I'd like to have you back on the show." I'm like, oh my God, that will reach a lot of people in Queens. So that was very abundant. And what I was saying before is that I had organized my high school reunion. And I did a lot of work up late at night and searching people down and whatever. I got about 55 people together. We had a venue overlooking the ocean. It was just spectacular. Everybody was so happy. And like the squeals of joy when everybody saw each other, and I'm lucky because I went to the High School of Performing Arts, so it was a group of people who were bonded to begin with, even though a lot of us had lost touch. Anyway, it was a very abundant experience. So I'm saying that abundance doesn't have to be money. It could,
Yes.
abundance doesn't have to be money. It can be anything that really feels connected to something bigger than yourself, something larger than yourself, something really large like the universe. That's about as large as it gets. And when you feel connected to that, you're in the flow of abundance, which is another thing that I like to talk about. So uplifting feelings like being in the mountains or sailing or the joy of a new business deal, all of that can be abundance. Right?
I'm following every word she is saying, and if she misses one word, I'm on her case. So abundance is an energetic feeling.
Right.
So, and it's a vibration.
Right. Abundance is a feeling, right? It's not really the money. Money is paper, right? It's not, really the reunion or whatever it is. It's the feeling that you have about it. It's that vibration, and I believe everything is energy. So
and Betty, I know that you say go after the feeling. I know that. So okay, can you tell me a little bit about that feeling, how it feels?
Well,
that's interesting. How
it's
does it feel for you?
Well, it feels expanded. It
Yes.
feels really joyful.
Yes.
It feels like in wonder, right? Because you're connected to the universe. And when it starts flowing, you have those moments when it's like one thing after another. The elevator opens, you're thinking about somebody, and they show up. You get that job, and I worked with somebody who we were clearing one of her issues, right, which was that she had taken a new job, and the old job paid her more, but she got her dream job, and there was this difference in income, right? So we did the EFT on, wanting to have money to make up the difference, right? Well, 2 days later, after we tapped, she got a freelance job. Somebody paid her a little extra for for a card reading that she did, right? And all kinds of different things, like her veterinarian gave treatment to her cat and said, you know what, don't worry about the expense. So that was like $200 there. And then her doctor also, this is all in the same week, right? Had given her, didn't charge her because the insurance wasn't going to pay, and he said, don't worry about it. That was $300. So this happened, boom, 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 one after another. That's being in the flow of abundance.
I love that. I love being in the flow. And Betty, you mentioned that creating your abundance is like stringing pearls, and go ahead, and for you to make your own necklace.
Right. Well, I like pearls, right? I'm a pearl girl, right? So I use this analogy of it's like you take all these different events and you just like one at a time and you're stringing pearls. Eventually you have a necklace, right? I love that little
the
analogy.
expression that I use, I string successes. So I think of a situation where I was successful and I string that. And when I feel I have like 5 of them, that is, you feel like you're flying. Yes, it feels great.
Right, right. So then the next question is, why create abundance? Well, okay, it feels really good. It brings more joy. Of course, more money can be very, very helpful, right? And that also helps create the feeling of security, which creates the experience starts coming back to you eventually when you have the feelings first. You have to create the feelings first,
and you feel so abundant that you have what?
Well, yes.
More to give.
It's like fill in the blanks, right?
Yes.
And when you have that full feeling of abundance, right, it's like your cup runneth over, and then you can give.
And you,
right?
And you give joyfully. You know, it's a pleasure to give.
It's a pleasure to give.
Yes.
And the more you give, not that you do it for this reason, but the more you receive, right? And it's really
it's
cyclical.
like a cycle, yes. Very good.
So, it's fun to create it.
And you had an experience with Harry.
With Harry, okay. So I was working with Harry on his money mindset, and he lives in an area that's economically depressed, and he lost his job, and his house is in foreclosure, and he did get a job right before he came to me, which thank goodness, right? But still, there was a lot to make up for, and the money consciousness we wanted to work on, right? And as we explored it, we came to the memory of that his father would say to him, you'll never be rich, but you'll make a living, right? And
you'll never thrive. You'll just survive.
Right, and and as kind-hearted as that was from his father, he didn't mean anything ill by it, right? But it does give that secondary message that you just can't get past that set point, that
and
money
some
set
people call
point.
it a level, right?
It's a level. I call it a set point.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they reach that ceiling, and
right.
they can't break the ceiling.
Right. But thankfully, there are things like tapping, like EFT tapping and EMDR, and different things that can break through that set point.
Thankfully, we have Betty, who's an expert. Yes, and she's very gentle. She's very encouraging, very easy to relate with. Wonderful. So I said my 2 cents. Go ahead.
So back to Harry, right? So we also figured out that he was afraid to surpass his father. So all those issues, we tapped on him, right? And the next day, he had this amazing insight that he was able to put together a show, like a theatrical festival, and that he knew the right people who could do the funding and have the rights for the music that he wanted to use. He's had experience in that before, and that's really what he really loves to do. So he's back on track with what he really loves to do. It's going to be a vehicle to bring in more money, and he got the job even before we did the abundance work.
Wonderful.
So it was a great story.
Oh, I'd like to meet that Harry. Okay.
He's a good guy. Right. So so in general, it's just raising your consciousness, and why create abundance? Because not only personally does it raise your consciousness, but for each person, it raises it for all of us too. And it'd be nice to live in a more abundant, giving world. And my mission is for everybody to really know as much as possible that there are resources, right? And that it's a matter of learning how to get out of your own way and to be able to focus and make it happen.
I just had a thought, and perhaps you can address it. Sometimes a person will say to you, and as soon as they say whatever they're sharing is so down, Everything is a negative, and in a way, it also affects us. It brings us down. So in a situation like that, how would you instantly bring them back up so that they don't bring you down to that?
Well, I think everybody has a right to be where they are,
Okay.
right? I mean, I wait, if somebody asked me
Okay.
to help them raise their vibration,
Then
then
you would.
then you know, then
Although,
we would go.
What if
right.
they keep going down, down, drowning, and what do you do?
Well, that's a hard question. I mean,
Okay.
it depends on the circumstance.
All right.
You know, if it's a life and death circumstance, sometimes you want to take action.
Yes. Okay.
You know, like if somebody is suicidal or something, you know, you
Perfect.
want to do something.
Okay,
right?
so we're going to raise the energy back up on lighter things. Okay.
But I think allowing people to be who they are, you don't have to be taken down with that other person.
No,
And
that's-
you know, I know a lot of people say just stay away from that energy or whatever. I believe in compassion,
Yes.
right? So, you know, if you have good boundaries of your own, you don't have to be pulled down with that. But
Okay.
you can still care about the other person.
Okay, I love those two
Right.
examples that you
Right.
gave us. But now, Betty, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. So I've been on this path for a while, and I love helping people with this, and I've had a lot of successes with the people I've worked with.
This one blew me.
Well, that was one person that, when clearing the issues, you know, she actually signed a deal that was, you know, several $1 million. You know, I'm not going to go into details about it, but it really was wonderful. And I've seen people, you know, work through their issues and then have a profit of $100. And actually, that was very exciting because to that person, that was a big deal.
That is a
Right?
big deal. Yes.
And she ended up doing her dream job, right? You know, and is now, you know, working at doing that. So it doesn't really matter. It really, you know, what it means to that person, it's where they are. And if you feel abundant, you feel abundant. And then more comes, you know, if you're open to it, right? So
And do you, in order to feel abundant, not only the feeling, but the doing and the achieving and the manifesting, do you feel you needed to take risks? Did you need to face the challenge in order to, do you know what I'm saying? Did you need to become a little action oriented?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I mean, thanks for bringing that up, Maddie, because that's a huge point, and that's where a lot of people got disappointed with The Secret. I'm sorry, I have to take some water.
Okay, I think I'll join you.
I think a lot of people didn't, or The Secret didn't communicate about the action portion enough.
Tell them what
right?
The Secret
The
is.
Secret is a book and a movie that came out around, I think, 2006. And
2006?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it really raised the consciousness about the law of attraction. Law of attraction is when like energies attract, and it's how the universe is organized. It's how you can bring abundance toward you. So there's not only the clearing away of whatever's in your way,
Yes.
right? But one of the steps is that you have to take action.
Yes.
Right, and if it's not, it's wishful thinking.
Right. And Betty, do you feel that a person must first remove all that debris first before they can, or can both be done simultaneously, kind of?
Well, I think, you know, life is real, right? And sometimes you can't just remove everything,
Right,
you know,
'cause
and
it's a lot.
and it's done, right?
Yes.
So of course we have to take actions in life
True,
anyway. But if the procedure that I do when people come to my office, right, is that I identify what they want, what their vision is, right? I find out what their blocks are, where they're stuck. Right? And then we start using different techniques like the EFT to clear it away, right? And then they start shining through. Then I go back to the vision, right, to re-emphasize that and to refocus the person so they're pinpointed on what they want, right?
Betty, what happens when the person just, for whatever reason, is unable to stay focused on their goal?
Well, then that becomes the next tappable issue. Like the next EFT issue is
okay.
what's causing the distraction. You know, I mean, sometimes it's neurological.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and if that's the case, then there are, you know, different actions to be taken to help address that. But you need to be able to focus on what you want in order to have that come in.
Wonderful.
Right?
Okay.
So, you know, I would help somebody refocus, be open to what kind of intuition comes in
Yeah.
on what kind of actions to take. Then we create an action plan, right?
Oh, you do physically?
Yeah.
You write it out?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, you want to know what to do, and those are the goals that you have to achieve, and then they come back and
So the action plan has specific steps of action
right,
for them to do?
right.
Okay.
Ideally,
Is thinking an action?
you know, it could be.
It could be.
It could be. You could have an assignment like
I
go
do.
home and think about what you want.
Yeah,
You know,
just
right?
think about it, right,
Right.
before we write it
Right.
and before we do it.
Right.
How wonderful. And you know, you mentioned something over here. It's that easy, okay? So you have something here that you,
Oh, this is one of my favorite little stories.
Oh,
This is,
okay.
I call it my Staples story, right?
Okay.
And it's about how you can manifest, you know, large or small amounts, or how it works, right? So a couple of years ago, I went to Staples. To me, it's like the Toys R Us for business owners, you know, and I had my little basket, and I was very happy with my basket, and I'm
yes,
putting
yes.
things in my basket,
Yes.
right? And I was trying to be on a budget, right? And then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm just putting all this stuff in my basket. And I had just taken this box of envelopes, right? And I put it in the basket, and I thought, gee, I really don't need to buy this box of envelopes because I have envelopes at home. I could bring that to the office. You know, I could save a little money. So I thought, you know, how much is this box of envelopes that I'm just willing to spend willy-nilly, you know? And I look at it, and it's about $10, right?
That's a lot.
Right. So I put it back on the shelf, and I felt pretty satisfied that I had saved myself $10, right? I check out or whatever, and I'm crossing Queens Boulevard, and I look down. In the middle of Queens Boulevard, there's a $10 bill.
my
Right?
goodness.
Well, no. Fortunately, there were no cars coming at that moment, right?
Yeah.
So I bent down and I picked up the $10 bill, and I went to the other side of the boulevard, and I thought, can it really be that easy?
That easy. Yes.
Because I had saved the $10 for me, so essentially I was giving myself, right? You know, giving and you receive. I was giving myself $10
Okay.
by not spending it, and then the universe brought it back to me.
double. Because
Well, it wasn't
because
double, it was
yours
one-on-one.
and the one that you found.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yes.
It's double. I never thought of it that way. So, and I thought, yeah, it can be that
And
easy.
it's called 30, 60, 100-fold in Scripture.
Oh,
It
okay.
really, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That was an amazing story to me
Very.
because, you know, I didn't have a whole lot of conflict about $10. It was easy for it to manifest. If I had, you know, done something with $1 million, it probably would have been, you know, a longer
All you
time
need-
until that came
All
in.
you need is zeros, that's all.
It's really the same thing if you're not in your own way. It really is as
Okay.
easy as that if you're not in your own way. But there is absolutely action that has to be taken in life. We live in a physical world, so we have to take physical actions on things. But you know, once you've got some momentum going, the actions you have to take may get smaller.
Oh, yeah, they appear easier.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, when I first
that's a
started
piece
my
of cake. Yes,
yeah,
go
when I
ahead.
first started my practice, I was I would bring my massage table to Pastimes. I don't know if you remember that in Forest
Yes.
Hills, right? And
Yes.
I'd be reading chakras out there. I mean, I was really like doing all this work to get clients, right?
course.
And then after a while, when my practice built up or whatever, I could just give my card to somebody. That's an action, right? And the phone would ring, and somebody else would come to my practice. So it's not exactly, you know, who you're focusing on.
Right.
Like
And
if
it's
you-
not linear in any way. It isn't. It goes up and down. It's not linear. You may think, oh, this person would be a good client, but then another one comes up that you don't have to really truly follow that one. Do you know what I'm saying? It comes to you.
Well, it doesn't necessarily come where you think it's going to come.
Exactly.
It can come in a different form. It can
Yes.
come, you know, from a different person can be your client, which is more often the case.
Mm-hmm.
And if you focus, like, I have to have that person as a client, you're sinking your own boat,
Sure.
right? So I learned those lessons a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the most stunning things that ever happened to me, which really changed my life, was my blue feather experiment.
Oh, wonderful.
And what happened was years ago, this is around 1989, right? I was reading this book on how to manifest, right? And I thought, well, let me give it a try, right? And I decided to manifest a blue feather because I had read Richard Bach's book, Illusions, where he manifests a blue feather. So I figured if he could do it, I could do it, right?
Of course.
And I'm on my way to my analyst's office in Great Neck, right? And I'm waiting in Woodside at the railroad station, and I go through the steps on manifesting this feather, but what am I going to do? I can't take the action step then because I'm on my way to my therapist's office, right? So I figured come the weekend, I'll go to Macy's, I'll check out their pet department. That's how long ago this was, when Macy's had a pet department. And I'll find a blue parakeet with blue feathers, and I will have fulfilled my mission, right? So with that, I let it go. I got to my therapist's office. I went into the bathroom. She didn't have any toilet paper available. I looked around, I found a roll, and I'm thinking my mother's right? Because the picture goes over the top, not under the bottom, right? We used to argue about that all the time, right? Because all these blue swans with their blue feathers would be upside down. And I'm like, blue swans, blue feathers. So here's my little toilet paper that I still kept to this day.
Wow.
And I'm lying on the couch, and she's behind me, and I'm saying, "Look what I created!"
So
right, you know, and she's like scribbling in her book, and I know she wrote something like "she's nuts," you know, something like that.
Waving
right,
a piece of
you know,
tissue.
right. So, but I didn't care, you know. And a week later, you know, then I really let it go, right? And then a week later, I used to run a support group.
Yeah, but before you go into the support group, some people don't appreciate what you're appreciating.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
That's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay.
That's
Let
okay.
It go.
It was my experience, right?
Yes.
So a week later, I was running this group with my colleague Nilsa, and she calls me from the subway, and she says, "Look, I'm stuck. Can you set up the room, the group room where we would do it, right?" And I said, "Sure." So I went in to set up the chairs for the group, right? And right in the middle of where those chairs were going to be set up was this. It was my blue feather.
And what was your intention?
My intention was to create a blue feather, right?
And
I
there
mean,
it was.
it changed my life.
Yes.
This feather changed my life.
Of course.
No, I understand a feather's not $1 million,
No,
right? But
and some people are
you
gonna
got to
say-
start somewhere, right?
Some people are going to say, "Oh, you didn't manifest it. You didn't produce it. It's a coincidence." Some people will take that way.
You know,
But to us, because
is this a
that
coincidence?
because you had that in your mind.
Well, I mean, it was so obvious to me. To me, this was beyond coincidence.
Beautiful.
And I've experimented with this over and over and over again. 10 years later, I did the same experiment to try to find a blue artichoke, right? And because I figured I had never seen a blue artichoke. Have you
No.
ever? No.
No.
All right. Right. So I figured if the universe can provide a blue artichoke, then we're in business.
right.
Then I can present it, and
And you
know,
have a picture.
and then I have a picture,
And it's
I.
small, but
It's
anyway.
small, but it came in a Stearns catalog, and there were pasta bowl sets, and there are like 2 blue artichokes there.
Can you
right?
imagine?
So, you know, I just love this stuff. It just is amazing to me that the universe works this way.
It does.
And I'd like to help as many people as possible with it. All right.